Well, as we enter the confirmation hearing season, it is worth remembering that there is only one word that matters in reporting about the confirmation process. That word is yes. When a reporter asks a senator if that senator is going to vote for a nominee, if that senator does not say the word yes, that senator is not yet voting for the nominee. It is possible that that senator will eventually decide to vote for the nominee, especially Republican senators who are now being subjected to unprecedented levels of pressure and intimidation to vote for Trump nominees. There have been discussions on cable news this week and articles published that say, for example, Republican Senator Joni Ernst has changed her position on the Pete Hegseth nomination to be Secretary of Defense. The first nominee for a cabinet position in history who has pledged to stop drinking if and only if he is confirmed by the United States Senate. The New York Times published a report, well-sourced within the Trump transition team, but without any apparent sources in the United States Senate, about what the headline calls the resurrection of support for Pete Hegseth's confirmation. But the only resurrection that actually reports on is the resurrection of Donald Trump's personal support for Pete Hegseth after Donald Trump's apparent attempt to abandon Pete Hegseth. The Times reports Mr. Trump was getting sick of hearing about it all, and he told confidants he was serious about picking Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida to replace him. But within 48 hours, Mr. Trump had changed his mind. He was going to see if Mr. Hegseth could survive. Trump allies appear to compete in that article for credit in reviving the Hegseth nomination. J.D. Vance is obviously trying to be seen in that article as helping Hegseth, as is Steve Bannon and other Trump-worshiping private citizens with microphones. But no access to United States senators is reported in the article. This long, authoritative article describes the intense pressure being put on United States senators by right-wing media, paid for advertising by Elon Musk, and threats of a Republican primary challenge against any Republican senator who votes against Pete Hegseth. But the article does not describe the conversion of a single Republican senator to a yes vote. And even though Joni Ernst has not changed to a yes vote, the Times does describe what it calls Joni Ernst turnaround. That's the word they used for it. A turnaround for Joni Ernst would have been going from expressing concern about the nomination of someone accused of rape in a Monterey, California police report, someone who opposes women serving in combat, which is understandably offensive to Joni Ernst, who served in combat herself. Joni Ernst is actually the first woman elected to the United States Senate who is a combat veteran. A turnaround for Joni Ernst would be telling the New York Times or anyone publicly that she is a yes vote for Pete Hegseth. Here is the way the Times describes the turnaround that turns out not to be a turnaround, but simply a semantic adjustment to deflect pressure. Quote, a week ago, Ms. Ernst seemed as if she would not be able to get to yes on Mr. Hegseth. She said that he would have his work cut out for him. But after a few days of intense pressure, her comments this week could not have been more different. Quote, as I support Pete through this process, I look forward to a fair hearing based on truth, not anonymous sources, Ms. Ernst said in a statement on Monday after a meeting with Mr. Hegseth. This article appeared in Thursday morning's edition, today's edition of the New York Times. And it's using a written statement put out by Joni Ernst on Monday. The Times could have used more recent statements made by Senator Ernst. They'd still be 4 days old, but these statements were made in real discussion with reporters, not just on a piece of paper, and they were made after Joni Ernst issued that written statement. The Times could have reported what Senator Ernst actually said after she issued that written statement saying that she supports Pete through this process. It would be absolutely fair for any New York Times reader of that article to believe that the phrase support Pete through this process means she is voting yes, especially when the New York Times tells you that that comment, quote, could not have been more different, end quote, from what she had said last week. But in fact, it could have been a lot more different from what she said last week. Joni Ernst could have said, I am a yes vote for Pete Hegseth. Instead, all she seemed to be saying was that she supports the confirmation process. Every senator who's going to vote against Pete Hegseth's confirmation supports the confirmation process. Capitol Hill reporters who cover senators every day know what a senator sounds like when they support a nominee instead of supporting a process. In fact, here's what Joni Ernst sounds like when she supports a nominee. The very same day that she said in writing that she supports Pete through this process, Joni Ernst said, I know Kash, and that's why I think he's going to be great. We really do need people who will go in and shake up some of these organizations. So you can put Senator Joni Ernst down as a yes vote for Kash Patel for director of the FBI as of now, as of tonight. But even that yes vote could become a no vote if Kash Patel has as bad a confirmation hearing as he is capable of having in the Senate Judiciary Committee. Joni Ernst has not said anything like that about Pete Hegseth. She has never said, I think Pete is going to be great. Reporters who have covered the confirmation process before know that the key word to listen for is yes. That's the word you have to hear. And they all know that as of now, Pete Hegseth is not close to getting 51 yes votes in the United States Senate. On Monday, after Senator Ernst released her written statement about supporting Pete through the process, in which she was obviously trying to deflect all of that intense pressure that Donald Trump's allies have been putting on her in her home state of Iowa, reporters following her through the hallways of the Senate wanted to know what her written statement actually meant, because to them it meant nothing. None of those experienced reporters believed that that written statement was a turnaround for Joni Ernst. When the reporters asked her what the written statement actually meant, she could have easily said, it means I'm voting yes to confirm Pete Hegseth. She did not come close to saying that.
Absolutely. It means that we're having really good discussions, and we discussed several items that were really important to me, and I'll just refer back to my statement on those items. But what I appreciated very much about Mr. Hegseth who came in, he really does respect the process, and I'm grateful for that. But again, I'll refer you back to my statement.
Are you confident his denials about those assault allegations? Do you believe those denials?
I'll refer you back to this statement.
Do you believe his denials about the sexual assault allegations? It would have been a turnaround for Joni Ernst to say, yes, I believe his denials. She did not say that. She wants reporters and people in Iowa to focus only on her written statement in order to get the Trump pressure off her, and only the New York Times decided to limit its reporting exactly the way Joni Ernst wants them to limit their reporting, by quoting only her written statement. Experienced reporters in the Senate hallway wisely were not falling for the written statement.
Will you have another meeting with him?
That's to be determined, but thank you.
You talked about the audit in your statement. What does that mean? Can you provide more details?
Yes, and we talked through a number of issues that the Pentagon has right now, and it was a very thoughtful and deep conversation about several items that I'd already talked to him about, and it was good to have a real thorough policy discussion.
Did the pressure of getting back home and the primary politics play into this?
We have been talking these same issues every meeting that we've had, and he had really thoughtful answers, so thank you.
Did the pressure you're getting back home in the primary politics play into this? The obvious answer is yes. That pressure is what provoked her to deliver the written statement, but that pressure has not yet turned her vote into a yes vote. It might eventually. That pressure might eventually turn Joni Ernst into a yes vote for Pete Hegseth. But the correct way to frame Joni Ernst's position as of tonight is, despite the most enormous pressure on an individual senator by her party in a Senate confirmation vote in history, Joni Ernst is still not a yes vote for Donald Trump's choice for Secretary of Defense. Joni Ernst could make all the pressure completely disappear tomorrow just by saying that one word, yes. And she has not said that word. The Times delivered very valuable reporting on inside the pressure process the Trump world is dumping on Joni Ernst, but limiting that reporting to the vote of just one senator, which is still not a yes vote, ignores other Republican senators who are also not yet yes votes for Pete Hegseth. Senator Susan Collins, Senator Lisa Murkowski, Senator Mitch McConnell, Senator Deb Fischer. There are a total of at least 5 Republican senators who are not tonight a yes vote for Pete Hegseth, and it only takes 4. Only takes 4 Republicans to kill that nomination in the United States Senate. So the truth is, yes, there is an attempt to resurrect the Pete Hegseth nomination, but as of tonight, it hasn't worked, and Pete Hegseth still does not have the votes to be confirmed as Secretary of Defense. And Donald Trump's nominee for Director of the FBI, Kashif Patel, also does not yet have the votes to be confirmed in the United States Senate. You can be sure that in his confirmation hearing, Kash Patel will try to reverse his position on eliminating the intelligence unit of the FBI, which current FBI Director Chris Wray says has stopped several terrorist plots in this country.
The FBI's footprint has gotten so freaking big, and the biggest problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state.
And in his Senate confirmation hearing, Kash Patel will probably try to claim that this was just a joke.
We're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out.